Satire. 86 languages. 1867 edition of Punch, a groundbreaking British magazine of popular humour, including a great deal of satire of the contemporary, social, and political scene. Satire's redirects here. For the film and television genre, see Satire, film and television. For other uses, see Satire's disambiguation. Satire is a genre of the visual, literary, and performing arts, usually in the form of fiction and less frequently non-fiction, in which vices, follies, abuses, and shortcomings are held up to ridicule, often with the intent of exposing or shaming the perceived flaws of individuals, corporations, government, or society itself into improvement. 1. Although satire is usually meant to be humorous, its greater purpose is often constructive. Social criticism, using wit to draw attention to both particular and wider issues in society. A prominent feature of satire is strong irony or sarcasm. In satire, irony is militant, according to literary critic Northrop Frye. 2. But parody, burlesque, exaggeration. 3. Juxtaposition, comparison, analogy, and double entendre are all frequently used in satirical speech and writing. This militant irony or sarcasm often professes to approve of, or at least accept as natural, the very things the satirist wishes to question. Satire is found in many artistic forms of expression, including internet memes, literature, plays, commentary, music, film and television shows, and media such as lyrics. Etymology and roots. Edit. The word satire comes from the Latin word satir and the subsequent phrase las satira. Satir meant full, but the juxtaposition with las shifted the meaning to miscellany or medley. The expression las satira literally means a full dish of various kinds of fruits. 4. The use of the word las in this phrase, however, is disputed by B.L. Ullman. 5. The word satira as used by Quintilian, however, was used to denote only Roman verse satire, a strict genre that imposed hexameter form, a narrower genre than what would be later intended as satire. 4. 6. Quintilian famously said that satira, that is a satire in hexameter verses, was a literary genre of Holy Roman origin, satira tota nostra est. He was aware of and commented on Greek satire, but at the time did not label it as such, although today the origin of satire is considered to be. Explore our developer-friendly HTML to PDF API printed using PDF Crowd HTML to PDF. Aristophanes' Old Comedy. The first critic to use the term satire in the modern broader sense was Apuleius. 4. To Quintilian, the satire was a strict literary form, but the term soon escaped from the original narrow definition. Robert Eliot writes, as soon as a noun enters the domain of metaphor, as one modern scholar has pointed out, it clamors for extension, and satira, which had had no verbal, adverbial, or adjectival forms, was immediately broadened by appropriation from the Greek word for satyr, satios, and its derivatives. The odd result is that the English satire comes from the Latin satira, but satirize, satiric, etc., are of Greek origin. By about the 4th century AD, the writer of satires came to be known as Satiricus. Saint Jerome, for example, was called by one of his enemies a satirist in prose, Satiricus scripta in prosa. Subsequent Orthographic modifications obscured the Latin origin of the word satire. Satira becomes satira, and in England, by the 16th century, it was written satire. 1. The word satire derives from satyra, and its origin was not influenced by the Greek mythological figure of the satyr. 7. In the 17th century, philologist Isaac Casaubon was the first to dispute the etymology of satire from satyr, contrary to the belief up to that time. 8. Humor, edit. The rules of satire are such that it must do more than make you laugh. No matter how amusing it is, it doesn't count unless you find yourself wincing a little even as you chuckle. 9. Laughter is not an essential component of satire. 10. In fact, there are types of satire that are not meant to be funny at all. Conversely, not all humor, even on such topics as politics, religion or art, is necessarily satirical, even when it uses the satirical tools of irony, parody, and burlesque. Even light-hearted satire has a serious aftertaste. The organizers of the Ig Nobel Prize describe this as first make people laugh, and then make them think. 11. Social and psychological functions, edit. Satire and irony in some cases have been regarded as the most effective source to understand a society, the oldest form of social study. 12. They provide the keenest insights into a group's collective psyche, reveal its deepest values and tastes, and the society's structures of power. 13. 14. Some authors have regarded satire as superior to non-comic and non-artistic disciplines like history or anthropology. 12, 15, 16, 17. In a prominent example from ancient Greece, philosopher Plato, when explore our developer-friendly HTML to PDF API printed using PDF Crowd HTML to PDF. A satire by Angelo Agostini to Revista Ilustrada mocking the lack of interest from Emperor Pedro II of Brazil in politics toward the end of his reign. Asked by a friend for a book to understand Athenian society, referred him to the plays of Aristophanes. 18, 19. Historically, satire has satisfied the popular need to debunk and ridicule the leading figures in politics, economy, religion and other prominent realms of power. 20. Satire confronts public discourse and the collective imaginary, playing as a public opinion counterweight to power, be it political, economic, religious, symbolic, or otherwise, by challenging leaders and authorities. For instance, it forces administrations to clarify, amend or establish their policies. Satire's job is to expose problems and contradictions, and it is not obligated to solve them. 21. Karl Kraus set in the history of satire a prominent example of a satirist role as confronting public discourse. 22. For its nature and social role, satire has enjoyed in many societies a special freedom license to mock prominent individuals and institutions. 23. The satiric impulse, and its ritualized expressions, carry out the function of resolving social tension. 24. Institutions like the ritual clowns, by giving expression to the antisocial tendencies, represent a safety valve which establishes equilibrium and health in the collective imaginary, which are jeopardized by the repressive aspects of society. 25, 26. The state of political satire in a given society reflects the tolerance or intolerance that characterizes it. 20, and the state of civil liberties and human rights. Under totalitarian regimes, any criticism of a political system, and especially satire, is suppressed. A typical example is the Soviet Union, where the dissidents, such as Alexander Solzhenitsyn and Andrei Sakharov, were under strong pressure from the government. While satire of everyday life in the USSR was allowed, the most prominent satirist being Arkady Rakin, political satire existed in the form of anecdotes, 27, that made fun of Soviet political leaders, especially Brezhnev, famous for his narrow-mindedness and love for awards and decorations. Classifications, edit. Satire is a diverse genre which is complex to classify and define, with a wide range of satiric modes. 28, 29. Horatian, Juvenalian, Menippean, edit. Satirical literature can commonly be categorized as either Horatian, Juvenalian, or Menippean. 30. Explore our developer-friendly HTML to PDF API printed using PDF Crowd HTML to PDF. Le Satire et l'Epistole di Q. Orazio Flacco, printed in 1814. Horatian, edit. Horatian satire, named for the Roman satirist Horace, 65-8 BCE. Playfully criticizes some social vice through gentle, mild, and light-hearted humor. Horace, Quintus Horatius Flaccus, wrote satires to gently ridicule the dominant opinions and philosophical beliefs of ancient Rome and Greece. 31. Rather than writing in harsh or accusing tones, he addressed issues with humor and clever mockery. Horatian satire follows this same pattern of gently ridiculing the absurdities and follies of human beings. 32. It directs wit, exaggeration, and self-deprecating humor toward what it identifies as folly, rather than evil. Horatian satire's sympathetic tone is common in modern society. 33. A Horatian satirist's goal is to heal the situation with smiles, rather than by anger. Horatian satire is a gentle reminder to take life less seriously and evokes a wry smile. 32. Juvenalian, edit. See also, Satires of Juvenal. Juvenalian satire, named for the writings of the Roman satirist Juvenal, late 1st century early 2nd century AD, is more contemptuous and abrasive than the Horatian. Juvenal disagreed with the opinions of the public figures and institutions of the Republic and actively attacked them through his literature. He utilized the satirical tools of exaggeration and parody to make his targets appear monstrous and incompetent. 34. Juvenal satire follows this same pattern of abrasively ridiculing societal structures. Juvenal also, unlike Horace, attacked public officials and governmental organizations through his satires, regarding their opinions as not just wrong, but evil. Following in this tradition, Juvenalian satire addresses perceived social evil through scorn, outrage, and savage ridicule. This form is often pessimistic, characterized by the use of irony, sarcasm, moral indignation and personal invective, with less emphasis on humor. Strongly polarized political satire can often be classified as Juvenalian. A juvenile satirist's goal is generally to provoke some sort of political or societal change because he sees his opponent or object as evil or harmful. 35. A juvenile satirist mocks societal structure, power, and civilization. 36. by exaggerating the words or position of his opponent in order to jeopardize their opponent's reputation and or power. Jonathan Swift has been established as an author who borrowed heavily from Juvenal's techniques in his critique of contemporary English society. 34. Manypian, edit. Explore our developer-friendly HTML to PDF API printed using PDF Crowd HTML to PDF. Main article, Manypian Satire. Satire vis-a-vis teasing, edit. In the history of theatre there has always been a conflict between engagement and disengagement. On politics and relevant issue, between satire and grotesque on one side, and jest with teasing on the other. 37. Max Eastman defined the spectrum of satire in terms of degrees of biting, as ranging from satire proper at the hot end, and kidding at the violet end. Eastman adopted the term kidding to denote what is just satirical in form, but is not really firing at the target. 38. Nobel laureate satirical playwright Dario Fo pointed out the difference between satire and teasing, sfoto. 39. Teasing is the reactionary side of the comic. It limits itself to a shallow parody of physical appearance. The side effect of teasing is that it humanizes and draws sympathy for the powerful individual towards which it is directed. Satire instead uses the comic to go against power and its oppressions, has a subversive character, and a moral dimension which draws judgment against its targets. 40, 41, 42, 43, Fo formulated an operational criterion to tell real satire from sfoto, saying that real satire arouses an outraged and violent reaction, and that the more they try to stop you, the better is the job you are doing. 44. Fo contends that, historically, people in positions of power have welcomed and encouraged good-humored buffoonery, while modern-day people in positions of power have tried to censor, ostracize and repress satire. 37, 40. Teasing, sfoto, is an ancient form of simple buffoonery, a form of comedy without satire's subversive edge. Teasing includes light and affectionate parody, good-humored mockery, simple one-dimensional poking fun, and benign spoofs. Teasing typically consists of an impersonation of someone monkeying around with his exterior attributes, tics, physical blemishes, voice and mannerisms, quirks, way of dressing and walking, and / or the phrases he typically repeats. By contrast, teasing never touches on the core issue, never makes a serious criticism judging the target with irony, it never harms the target's conduct, ideology and position of power, it never undermines the perception of his morality and cultural dimension. 40, 42, sfoto directed towards a powerful individual makes him appear more human and draws sympathy towards him. 45, Hermann Göring propagated jests and jokes against himself, with the aim of humanizing his image. 46, 47. Classifications by topics, edit. Types of satire can also be classified according to the topics it deals with. From the earliest times, at least since the plays of Aristophanes, the primary topics of literary satire have been politics, religion and sex. 48, 49, 50, 51. This is partly because these are the most pressing problems that affect anybody living in a society, and partly because these topics are usually taboo. 48, 52. Among these, politics in the broader sense is considered the preeminent topic of satire. 52. Satire which targets the clergy is a type of political satire, while religious satire is that which targets religious beliefs. 53. Satire on sex may overlap with blue comedy, off-color humor and dick jokes. Explore our developer-friendly HTML to PDF API printed using PDF Crowd HTML to PDF. Scatology has a long literary association with satire, 48, 54, 55, as it is a classical mode of the grotesque, the grotesque body and the satiric grotesque. 48, 56, shit plays a fundamental role in satire because it symbolizes death, the turd being the ultimate dead object. 54, 55, the satirical comparison of individuals or institutions with human excrement exposes their inherent inertness, corruption and deadlikeness. 54, 57, 58, the ritual clowns of clown societies, like among the Pueblo Indians, have ceremonies with filth eating. 59, 60, in other cultures, sin eating is an apotropaic rite in which the sin eater, also called filth eater, 61, 62, by ingesting the food provided, takes upon himself the sins of the departed. 63. Satire about death overlaps with black humor and gallows humor. Another classification by topics is the distinction between political satire, religious satire and satire of manners. 64. Political satire is sometimes called topical satire, satire of manners is sometimes called satire of everyday life, and religious satire is sometimes called philosophical satire. Comedy of manners, sometimes also called satire of manners, criticizes mode of life of common people. Political satire aims at behavior, manners of politicians, and vices of political systems. Historically, comedy of manners, which first appeared in British theatre in 1620, has uncritically accepted the social code of the upper classes. 65. Comedy in general accepts the rules of the social game, while satire subverts them. 66. Another analysis of satire is the spectrum of his possible tones: wit, ridicule, irony, sarcasm, cynicism, the sardonic and invective. 67, 68. The type of humor that deals with creating laughter at the expense of the person telling the joke is called reflexive humor. 69. Reflexive humor can take place at dual levels of directing humor at self or at the larger community the self identifies with. The audience's understanding of the context of reflexive humor is important for its receptivity and success. 69. Satire is found not only in written literary forms. In pre-literate cultures it manifests itself in ritual and folk forms, as well as in trickster tales and oral poetry. 24. It appears also in graphic arts, music, sculpture, dance, cartoon strips, and graffiti. Examples are Dada sculptures, pop artworks, music of Gilbert and Sullivan and Eric Satie, punk and rock music. 24. In modern media culture, stand-up comedy is an enclave in which satire can be introduced into mass media, challenging mainstream discourse. 24. Comedy roasts, mock festivals, and stand-up comedians in nightclubs and concerts are the modern forms of ancient satiric rituals. 24, 70. Development, edit. Ancient Egypt, edit. Explore our developer-friendly HTML to PDF API printed using PDF Crowd HTML to PDF. The satirical papyrus at the British Museum. Satirical ostracon showing a cat guarding geese, c. 1120 BC. Egypt. Figured ostracon showing a cat waiting on a mouse, Egypt. One of the earliest examples of what might be called satire, the Satire of the Trades, 71, is in Egyptian writing. From the beginning of the 2nd millennium BC. The text's apparent readers are students, tired of studying. It argues that their lot as scribes is not only useful, but far superior to that of the ordinary man. Scholars such as Helk, 72, think that the context was meant to be serious. The papyrus Anastasii, 73, late 2nd millennium BC, contains a satirical letter which first praises the virtues of its recipient, but then mocks the reader's meager knowledge and achievements. Ancient Greece, edit. The Greeks had no word for what later would be called satire, although the terms cynicism and parody were used. Modern critics call the Greek playwright Aristophanes one of the best known early satirists. His plays are known for their critical, political and societal commentary, 74, particularly for the political satire by which he criticized the powerful clean, as in the Knights. He is also notable for the persecution he underwent. 74, 75, 76, 77, Aristophanes' plays turned upon images of filth and disease. 78, his bawdy style was adopted by Greek dramatist comedian Menander. His early play Drunkenness contains an attack on the politician Corlimedon. The oldest form of satire still in use is the Menippean satire by Menippus of Gadara. His own writings are lost. Examples from his admirers and imitators mix seriousness and mockery in dialogues and present parodies before a background of diatribe. As in the case of Aristophanes' plays, Menippean satire turned upon images of filth and disease. 78. Ancient China, edit. Satire, or fengcai. The way it is called in Chinese, goes back at least to Confucius, being mentioned in the Book of Odes, Shijing. It meant to criticize by means of an ode. In the pre-Qin era it was also common for schools of thought to clarify their views through the use of short explanatory anecdotes, also called yuan, translated as entrusted words. These yuan explore our developer-friendly HTML to PDF API printed using PDF Crowd HTML to PDF. Usually were brimming with satirical content. The Taoist text Zhuangzi is the first to define this concept of yuan. During the Qin and Han dynasty, however, the concept of yuan mostly died out. Through their heavy persecution of dissent and literary circles, especially by Qin Shi Huang and Han Wudi. 79. Roman World, edit. The first Roman to discuss satire critically was Quintilian, who invented the term to describe the writings of Gaius Lucilius. The two most prominent and influential ancient Roman satirists are Horace and Juvenal, who wrote during the early days of the Roman Empire. Other important satirists in ancient Latin are Gaius Lucilius and Persius. Satire in their work is much wider than in the modern sense of the word, including fantastic and highly colored humorous writing with little or no real mocking intent. When Horace criticized Augustus, he used veiled ironic terms. In contrast, Pliny reports that the 6th century BC poet Hipponax wrote satire that were so cruel that the offended hanged themselves. 80. In the 2nd century AD, Lucian wrote True History, a book satirizing the clearly unrealistic travelogues / adventures written by Ctesias, Iambulus, and Homer. He states that he was surprised. They expected people to believe their lies, and stating that he, like them, has no actual knowledge or experience, but shall now tell lies as if he did. He goes on to describe a far more obviously extreme and unrealistic tale, involving interplanetary exploration, war among alien life forms, and life inside a 200-mile-long whale back in the terrestrial ocean, all intended to make obvious the fallacies of books like Indica and the Odyssey. Medieval Islamic World, edit. Main articles, Arabic satire and Persian satire. Medieval Arabic poetry included the satiric genre hijra. Satire was introduced into Arabic prose literature by the author Al-Jahiz in the 9th century. While dealing with serious topics in what are now known as anthropology, sociology and psychology, he introduced a satirical approach, based on the premise that, however serious the subject under review, it could be made more interesting and thus achieve greater effect, if only one leavened the lump of solemnity by the insertion of a few amusing anecdotes or by the throwing out of some witty or paradoxical observations. He was well aware that, in treating of new themes in his prose works, he would have to employ a vocabulary of a nature more familiar in hijra, satirical poetry. 81. For example, in one of his zoological works, he satirized the preference for longer human penis size, writing, if the length of the penis were a sign of honor, then the mule would belong to the honorable tribe of Quraysh. Another satirical story based on this preference was an Arabian Nights tale called Ali with the Large Member. 82. In the 10th century, the writer Tha Alibi recorded satirical poetry written by the Arabic poets as Salami and Abu Dulaf, with as Salami praising Abu Dulaf's wide breadth of knowledge and then explore our developer-friendly HTML to PDF API printed using PDF Crowd HTML to PDF. Mocking his ability in all these subjects, and with Abu Dulaf responding back and satirizing as Salami in return. 83. An example of Arabic political satire included another 10th century poet Jura satirizing Farasdak as a transgressor of the Sharia, and later Arabic poets in turn using the term Farasdak-like as a form of political satire. 84. The terms comedy and satire became synonymous after Aristotle's Poetics was translated into Arabic in the medieval Islamic world, where it was elaborated upon by Islamic philosophers and writers, such as Abu Bishr, his pupil Al-Farabi, Avicenna, and Averroes. Due to cultural differences, they disassociated comedy from Greek dramatic representation and instead identified it with Arabic poetic themes and forms, such as hijra, satirical poetry. They viewed comedy as simply the art of reprehension, and made no reference to light and cheerful events, or troubled beginnings and happy endings, associated with classical Greek comedy. After the Latin translations of the 12th century, the term comedy thus gained a new semantic meaning in medieval literature. 85. Ubayd Zakani introduced satire in Persian literature during the 14th century. His work is noted for its satire and obscene verses, often political or bawdy, and often cited in debates involving homosexual practices. He wrote the Risale-i Delgotia, as well as Akhlaq al-Ashraf, Ethics of the Aristocracy, and the famous humorous fable Masnavi Mushogorbi, Mouse and Cat, which was a political satire. His non-satirical serious classical verses have also been regarded as very well written, in league with the other great works of Persian literature. Between 1905 and 1911, B.B. Khatoon Asterabadi and other Iranian writers wrote notable satires. Medieval Europe, edit. In the early Middle Ages, examples of satire were the songs by Goliards or Vagants, now best known as an anthology called Carmina Burana and made famous as texts of a composition by the 20th century composer Karl Orff. Satirical poetry is believed to have been popular, although little has survived. With the advent of the High Middle Ages and the birth of modern vernacular literature in the 12th century, it began to be used again, most notably by Chaucer. The disrespectful manner was considered unchristian and ignored, except for the moral satire, which mocked misbehavior in Christian terms. Examples are Livre des Manières by Etienne de Forgerès, fr. 1178, and some of Chaucer's Canterbury Tales. Sometimes epic poetry, epos, was mocked, and even feudal society, but there was hardly a general interest in the genre. In the High Middle Ages, the work Rainer of the Fox, written by Willem Diemerdyk Maegd, and its translations were a popular work that satirized the class system at the time, representing the various classes as certain anthropomorphic animals. As example, the lion in the story represents the nobility, which is portrayed as being weak and without character, but very greedy. Versions of Rainer of the Fox were also popular well into the early modern period. The Dutch translation Van den Vos Reinerd is considered a major medieval Dutch literary work. In the Dutch version de Vries, explore our developer-friendly HTML to PDF API printed using PDF Crowd HTML to PDF. Pieter Bruegel's 1568 satirical painting The Blind Leading the Blind argues that the animal characters represent barons who conspired against the Count of Flanders. 86. Early modern Western satire, edit. Direct social commentary via satire returned in the 16th century, when texts such as the works of François Rabelais tackled more serious issues. Two major satirists of Europe in the Renaissance were Giovanni Boccaccio and François Rabelais. Other examples of Renaissance satire include Till Eulenspiegel, Rainer of the Fox, Sebastian Brant's Schiff, 1494, Erasmus's Morii, Encomium, 1509, Thomas More's Utopia, 1516, and Coragicomedia, 1519. The Elizabethan, i.e. 16th century English, writers thought of satire as related to the notoriously rude, coarse and sharp satyr play. Elizabethan satire, typically in pamphlet form, therefore, contains more straightforward abuse than subtle irony. The French Huguenot Isaac Casaubon pointed out in 1605 that satire in the Roman fashion was something altogether more civilized. Casaubon discovered and published Quintilian's writing and presented the original meaning of the term, satira, not satyr, and the sense of wittiness, reflecting the dish full of fruits, became more important again. 17th century English satire once again aimed at the amendment of vices. Dryden In the 1590s a new wave of verse satire broke with the publication of Hall's Virgidemiarum, 6 books of verse satires targeting everything from literary fads to corrupt noblemen. Although Donne had already circulated satires in manuscript, Hall's was the first real attempt in English at verse satire on the Juvenalian model. 87. Page needed. The success of his work combined with a national mood of disillusion in the last years of Elizabeth's reign triggered an avalanche of satire, much of it less conscious of classical models than Hall's, until the fashion was brought to an abrupt stop by censorship. Note 1. Another satiric genre to emerge around this time was the satirical almanac, with François Rabelais' work Pantagrueline Prognostication, 1532, which mocked astrological predictions. The strategies François utilized within this work were employed by later satirical almanacs, such as the Poor Robin series that spanned the 17th to 19th centuries. 89. Ancient and Modern India, edit. Satire, Katak Shorviang, has played a prominent role in Indian and Hindi literature, and is counted as one of the Raz of literature in ancient books. 90. With the commencement of printing of books in Explore our developer-friendly HTML to PDF API printed using PDF Crowd HTML to PDF. A Welsh wedding satirical cartoon c. 1780. Local language in the 19th century and especially after India's freedom, this grew. 91. Many of the works of Tulsi Das, Kabir, Munshi Premchand, 92, 93, village minstrels, Harikatha singers, poets, Dalit singers and current-day stand-up Indian comedians incorporate satire, usually ridiculing authoritarians, fundamentalists and incompetent people in power. 94, 95, 96, in India, it has usually been used as a means of expression and an outlet for common people to express their anger against authoritarian entities. 97. A popular custom in northern India of Buranam Mano Holai Hai continues, in which comedians on the stage mock local people of importance, who are usually brought in as special guests. 98, 99, 100. Age of Enlightenment, edit. The Age of Enlightenment, an intellectual movement in the 17th and 18th centuries advocating rationality, produced a great revival of satire in Britain. This was fueled by the rise of partisan politics, with the formalization of the Tory and Whig parties, and also, in 1714, by the formation of the Scriblerus Club, which included Alexander Pope, Jonathan Swift, John Gay, John Arbuthnot, Robert Harley, Thomas Parnell, and Henry St. John, 1st Viscount Bolingbroke. This club included several of the notable satirists of early 18th century Britain. They focused their attention on Martinus Scriblerus, an invented learned fool, whose work they attributed all that was tedious, narrow-minded, and pedantic in contemporary scholarship. 101. In their hands astute and biting satire of institutions and individuals became a popular weapon. The turn to the 18th century was characterized by a switch from Horatian, soft, pseudo-satire, to biting, juvenile satire. 102. Jonathan Swift was one of the greatest of Anglo-Irish satirists, and one of the first to practice modern journalistic satire. For instance, in his A Modest Proposal Swift suggests that Irish peasants be encouraged to sell their own children as food for the rich, as a solution to the problem of poverty. His purpose is of course to attack indifference to the plight of the desperately poor. In his book Gulliver's Travels he writes about the flaws in human society in general and English society in particular. John Dryden wrote an influential essay entitled A Discourse Concerning the Original and Progress of Satire, 103, that helped fix the definition of satire in the literary world. His satirical Mac. Flecknoe was written in response to a rivalry with Thomas Shadwell and eventually inspired Alexander Pope to write his satirical Dunshad. Alexander Pope, b. the 21st of May, 1688, was a satirist known for his Horatian satirist style and translation of the Iliad. Famous throughout and after the long 18th century, Pope died in 1744. 104. Pope, in his The Rape of the Lock, is delicately chiding society in a sly but polished voice by holding up a mirror. Explore our developer-friendly HTML to PDF API printed using PDF Crowd HTML to PDF. A Victorian satirical sketch depicting a gentleman's donkey race in 1852. To the follies and vanities of the upper class. Pope does not actively attack the self-important pomp of the British aristocracy, but rather presents it in such a way that gives the reader a new perspective from which to easily view the actions in the story as foolish and ridiculous. A mockery of the upper class, more delicate and lyrical than brutal, Pope nonetheless is able to effectively illuminate the moral degradation of society to the public. The Rape of the Lock assimilates the masterful qualities of a heroic epic, such as the Iliad, which Pope was translating at the time of writing The Rape of the Lock. However, Pope applied these qualities satirically to a seemingly petty, egotistical elitist quarrel to prove his point wryly. 105. Other satirical works by Pope include the Epistle to Dr. Arbuthnot. Daniel Defoe pursued a more journalistic type of satire, being famous for his The True-Born Englishman, which mocks xenophobic patriotism, and The Shortest Way with the Dissenters, advocating religious toleration by means of an ironical exaggeration of the highly intolerant attitudes of his time. The pictorial satire of William Hogarth is a precursor to the development of political cartoons in 18th century England. 106. The medium developed under the direction of its greatest exponent, James Gilray from London. 107. With his satirical works calling the King, George III, Prime Ministers, and generals, especially Napoleon, to account, Gilray's wit and keen sense of the ridiculous made him the preeminent cartoonist of the era. 107. Ebenezer Cook, 1665–1732, author of The Sotweed Factor, 1708, was among the first writers of literary satire in colonial America. Benjamin Franklin, 1706–1790, and others followed, using satire to shape an emerging nation's culture through its sense of the ridiculous. Satire in Victorian England, edit. Several satiric papers competed for the public's attention in the Victorian era, 1837–1901, and Edwardian period, such as Punch, 1841, and Fun, 1861. Perhaps the most enduring examples of Victorian satire, however, are to be found in the Savoy operas of Gilbert and Sullivan. In fact, in The Yeoman of the God, a jester is given Lines that paint a very neat picture of the method and purpose of the satirist, and might almost be taken as a statement of Gilbert's own intent. I can set a braggart quailing with a quip. The upstart I can wither with a whim. He may wear a merry laugh upon his lip, but his laughter has an echo that is grim. Explore our developer-friendly HTML to PDF API printed using PDF Crowd HTML to PDF. Novelists such as Charles Dickens, 1812–1870, often used passages of satiric writing in their treatment of social issues. Continuing the tradition of Swiftian journalistic satire, Sidney Godolphin Osborne, 1808–1889, was the most prominent writer of scathing letters to the editor of the London Times. Famous in his day, he is now all but forgotten. His maternal grandfather William Eden, 1st Baron Auckland, was considered to be a possible candidate for the authorship of the Junius Letters. Osborne's satire was so bitter and biting that at one point he received a public censure from Parliament's then Home Secretary Sir James Graham. Osborne wrote mostly in the Juvenalian mode over a wide range of topics mostly centered on British governments and landlords' mistreatment of poor farm workers and field labourers. He bitterly opposed the new poor laws and was passionate on the subject of the British government's botched response to the Great Irish Famine and the mistreatment of British soldiers during the Crimean War. A number of works of fiction during this time, influenced by Egyptomania, 108, used the backdrop of ancient Egypt as a device for satire. Some works, like Edgar Allan Poe's Some Words with a Mummy, 1845, and Grant Allen's My New Year's Eve Among the Mummies, 1878, portrayed Egyptian civilization as having already achieved many of the Victorian era's advancements, like the steam engine and gas lamps, in an effort to satire the notion of progress. 109. Other works, like Jane Loudon's The Mummy, or A Tale of the 22nd Century, satirized Victorian curiosities with the afterlife. 108. Later in the 19th century, in the United States, Mark Twain, 1835–1910, grew to become American's greatest satirist. His novel Huckleberry Finn, 1884, is set in the antebellum South, where the moral values Twain wishes to promote are completely turned on their heads. His hero, Huck, is a rather simple but good-hearted lad who is ashamed of the sinful temptation that leads him to help a fugitive slave. In fact, his conscience, warped by the distorted moral world he has grown up in, often bothers him most when he is at his best. He is prepared to do good, believing it to be wrong. Twain's younger contemporary Ambrose Bierce, 1842–1913, gained notoriety as a cynic, pessimist, and black humorist with his dark, bitterly ironic stories, many set during the American Civil War, which satirized the limitations of human perception and reason. Bierce's most famous work of satire is probably The Devil's Dictionary, 1906, in which the definitions mock cant, hypocrisy and received wisdom. 20th Century Satire, edit. Karl Kraus is considered the first major European satirist since Jonathan Swift. 22. In 20th century literature, satire was used by English authors such as Aldous Huxley, 1930s, and George Orwell, 1940s, which under the inspiration of Zamyatin's Russian 1921 novel We, made serious and even Explore our developer-friendly HTML to PDF API printed using PDF Crowd HTML to PDF. Benzino Napalani and Adenoid. Hinkle in The Great Dictator. 1940. Frightening commentaries on the dangers of the sweeping social changes taking place throughout Europe. Anatoly Lunacharsky wrote, satire attains its greatest significance when a newly evolving class creates an ideology considerably more advanced than that of the ruling class, but has not yet developed to the point where it can conquer it. Herein lies its truly great ability to triumph, its scorn for its adversary and its hidden fear of it. Herein lies its venom, its amazing energy of hate, and, quite frequently, its grief, like a black frame around glittering images. Herein lie its contradictions and its power. 110. Many social critics of this same time in the United States, such as Dorothy Parker and H. L. Mencken, used satire as their main weapon, and Mencken in particular is noted for having said that one horse laugh is worth 10,000 syllogisms in the persuasion of the public to accept a criticism. Novelist Sinclair Lewis was known for his satirical stories such as Main Street. 1920, Babbitt, 1922, Elmer Gantry, 1927, dedicated by Lewis to H. L. Mencken, and It Can't Happen Here, 1935, and his books often explored and satirized contemporary American values. The film The Great Dictator, 1940, by Charlie Chaplin is itself a parody of Adolf Hitler. Chaplin later declared that he would have not made the film if he had known about the concentration camps. 111. Modern Soviet satire was very popular in the 1920s and 1930s. This form of satire is recognized by its level of sophistication and intelligence used, along with its own level of parody. Since there is no longer the need of survival or revolution to write about, modern Soviet satire focused on the quality of life. 112. In the United States 1950s, satire was introduced into American stand-up comedy most prominently by Lenny Bruce and Mort Sahl. 24, as they challenged the taboos and conventional wisdom of the time, were ostracized by the mass media establishment as sick comedians. In the same period, Paul Krasner's magazine The Realist began publication, to become immensely popular during the 1960s and early 1970s among people in the counterculture. It had articles and cartoons that were savage, biting satires of politicians such as Lyndon Johnson and Richard Nixon, the Vietnam War, the Cold War, and the war on drugs. This baton was also carried by the original National Lampoon magazine, edited by Doug Kenny and Henry Beard and featuring blistering satire written by Michael O'Donoghue, P.J. O'Rourke, and Tony Hendra, among others. 113. Prominent satiric stand-up comedian George Carlin acknowledged the influence the Realist had in his 1970s conversion to a satiric comedian. 114. 115. A more humorous brand of satire enjoyed a renaissance in the UK in the early 1960s with the satire boom, led by comedians including Peter Cook, Alan Bennett, Jonathan Miller, and Dudley Moore, whose stage show Beyond the Fringe was a hit not only in Britain, but also in the United States. Explore our developer-friendly HTML to PDF API printed using PDF Crowd HTML to PDF. Puppet of Manchester United striker Eric Cantona from the British satirical puppet show. Spitting image. Other significant influences in 1960s British satire include David Frost, Eleanor Brin and the television programme That Was the Week That Was. 116. Joseph Heller's most famous work, Catch-22, 1961, satirizes bureaucracy and the military, and is frequently cited as one of the greatest literary works of the 20th century. 117. Departing from traditional Hollywood farce and screwball, director and comedian Jerry Lewis used satire in his self-directed films The Bellboy, 1960, The Errand Boy, 1961, and The Patsy, 1964, to comment on celebrity and the star-making machinery of Hollywood. 118. The film Dr. Strangelove, 1964, starring Peter Sellers was a popular satire on the Cold War. Sellers and the British satire boom had a direct influence on the comedy troupe Monty Python. 119. Empire magazine called Monty Python's Life of Brian, 1979, an unrivaled satire on religion. 120. Contemporary satire, edit. Contemporary popular usage of the term satire is often very imprecise. While satire often uses caricature and parody, by no means are all uses of these or other humorous devices satiric. Refer to the careful definition of satire that heads this article. The Cambridge Companion to Roman Satire also warns of the ambiguous nature of satire. Hyle satire, or perhaps rather satiric, are words we run up against constantly in analyses of contemporary culture. The search for any defining formal characteristic, of satire, that will link past to present may turn out to be more frustrating than enlightening. 121. Satire is used on many UK television programmes, particularly popular panel shows and quiz shows such as Mock the Week, 2005-2022. And Have I Got News for You, 1990 ongoing. It is found on radio quiz shows such as The News Quiz, 1977 ongoing, and The Now Show, 1998-2024. One of the most watched UK television shows of the 1980s and early 1990s, the puppet show Spitting Image was a satire of the royal family, politics, entertainment, sport and British culture of the era. 122. Court Flunky from Spitting Image is a caricature of James Gilray, intended as a homage to the father of political cartooning. 123. Created by DMA Design in 1997, satire features prominently in the British video game series Grand Theft Auto. 124. 125. Another example is the Fallout series, namely interplay-developed Fallout, a post-nuclear role-playing game, 1995. 126. Other games utilizing satire include Postal, 1997, 127, State of Emergency, 2002, 127, Phone Story, 2011, and 7 Billion Humans, 2018. 128. Explore our developer-friendly HTML to PDF API printed using PDF Crowd HTML to PDF. Stephen Colbert satirically impersonated an opinionated and self-righteous television commentator on his comedy Central program in the U.S. Trey Parker and Matt Stone's South Park, 1997 ongoing, relies almost exclusively on satire to address issues in American culture, with episodes addressing racism, antisemitism, militant atheism, homophobia, sexism, environmentalism, corporate culture, political correctness and anti-Catholicism, among many other issues. Satirical web series and sites include Emmy-nominated Honest Trailers, 2012, 129, Internet Phenomena-themed Encyclopedia Dramatica, 2004, 130, Uncyclopedia, 2005, 131, Self-proclaimed America's finest news source The Onion, 1988. 132, and The Onion's Christian conservative counterpart The Babylon Bee, 2016. 133. In the United States, Stephen Colbert's television program, The Colbert Report, 2005-14, is instructive in the methods of contemporary American satire, sketch comedy television show. Saturday Night Live is also known for its satirical impressions and parodies of prominent persons and politicians, among some of the most notable, their parodies of U.S. political figures. Hillary Clinton, 134, and of Sarah Palin. 135, Colbert's character is an opinionated and self-righteous commentator who, in his TV interviews, interrupts people, points and wags his finger at them, and unwittingly uses a number of logical fallacies. In doing so, he demonstrates the principle of modern American political satire, the ridicule of the actions of politicians and other public figures by taking all their statements and purported beliefs to their furthest, supposedly, logical conclusion, thus revealing their perceived hypocrisy or absurdity. In the United Kingdom, a popular modern satirist was the late Sir Terry Pratchett, author of the internationally best-selling Discworld book series. One of the most well-known and controversial British satirists is Chris Morris, co-writer and director of Four Lions. In Canada, satire has become an important part of the comedy scene. Stephen Leacock was one of the best-known early Canadian satirists, and in the early 20th century, he achieved fame by targeting the attitudes of small-town life. In more recent years, Canada has had several prominent satirical television series and radio shows. Some, including Codco, the Royal Canadian Air Force, This Is That, and This Hour has 22 minutes deal directly with current news stories and political figures, while others, like History Bites, present contemporary social satire in the context of events and figures in history. The Beaverton is a Canadian news satire site similar to The Onion. Canadian songwriter Nancy White uses music as the vehicle for her satire, and her comic folk songs are regularly played on CBC Radio. Explore our developer-friendly HTML to PDF API printed using PDF Crowd HTML to PDF. Political satire by Ranan Lurie. In Hong Kong, there was a well-known Australian Kim Jong's UN impersonator Howard X, whom often utilized satire to show his support for Hong Kong City's pro-democracy movements and liberation of North Korea. He believed that humor is a very powerful weapon, and he often made it clear that he imitates the dictator to satirize him, not to glorify him. Throughout his career as a professional impersonator, he had also worked with multiple organizations and celebrities to create parodies and to stir up conversations of politics and human rights. 136. Cartoonists often use satire as well as straight humor. Al Cap's satirical comic strip Lee El Abna was censored in September 1947. The controversy, as reported in Time, centered on Cap's portrayal of the U.S. Senate. Said Edward Leach of Scripps Howard, "We don't think it is good editing or sound citizenship to picture the Senate as an assemblage of freaks and crooks, boobs and undesirables." 137. Walt Kelly's Pogo was likewise censored in 1952 over his overt satire of Senator Joe McCarthy, caricatured in his comic strip as Simple J. Malarkey. Gary Trudillo, whose comic strip Doonesbury focuses on satire of the political system, and provides a trademark cynical view on national events. Trudillo exemplifies humor mixed with criticism. For example, the character Mark Slackmay lamented that because he was not legally married to his partner, he was deprived of the exquisite agony of experiencing a nasty and painful divorce like heterosexuals. This, of course, satirized the claim that gay unions would denigrate the sanctity of heterosexual marriage. Like some literary predecessors, many recent television satires contain strong elements of parody and caricature. For instance, the popular animated series The Simpsons and South Park both parody modern family and social life by taking their assumptions to the extreme. Both have led to the creation of similar series, as well as the purely humorous effect of this sort of thing. They often strongly criticize various phenomena in politics, economic life, religion and many other aspects of society, and thus qualify as satirical. Due to their animated nature, these shows can easily use images of public figures and generally have greater freedom to do so than conventional shows using live actors. News satire is also a very popular form of contemporary satire, appearing in as wide an array of formats as the news media itself. Print, for example, The Onion, Waterford Whispers News, Private Eye, radio, for example, On the Hour. Television, for example, The Day Today, The Daily Show, Brass Eye, and the web, for example Faking News, L. Koshery Today, Babylon Bee, The Beaverton, The Daily Bonnet and The Onion. Other satires are on the list of satirists and satires. In an interview with Wiki News, Sean Mills, president of The Onion, said angry letters about their news parody always carried the same message. "It's whatever affects that person," said Mills. So, explore our developer-friendly HTML to PDF API printed using PDF Crowd HTML to PDF. It's like, I love it when you make a joke about murder or rape, but if you talk about cancer, well, my brother has cancer and that's not funny to me. Or someone else can say, cancer's hilarious, but don't talk about rape because my cousin got raped. Those are rather extreme examples, but if it affects somebody personally, they tend to be more sensitive about it. 138. Satire is also gaining recognition for its value in social science research, particularly when authors are seeking to unpack complex social issues like gendered racism. 139. Techniques. Edit. Literary satire is usually written out of earlier satiric works, reprising previous conventions, commonplaces, stance, situations and tones of voice. 140. Exaggeration is one of the most common satirical techniques. 3. Contrarily, diminution is also a satirical technique. Legal status, edit. For its nature and social role, satire has enjoyed in many societies a special freedom license to mock prominent individuals and institutions. 23. In Germany, 141, Japan, and Italy, 20, 142, satire is protected by the Constitution. Since satire belongs to the realm of art and artistic expression, it benefits from broader lawfulness limits than mere freedom of information of journalistic kind. 142. In some countries a specific right to satire is recognized and its limits go beyond the right to report of journalism and even the right to criticize. 142. Satire benefits not only of the protection to freedom of speech, but also to that to culture, and that to scientific and artistic production. 20. 142. Australia, edit. Main article, The Juice Media Controversy. In September 2017, the Juice Media received an email from the Australian National Symbols Officer requesting that the use of a satirical logo, called the coat of arms based on the Australian coat of arms, no longer be used, as they had received complaints from the members of the public. 143. Coincidentally, 5 days later a bill was proposed to Australian Parliament to amend the Criminal Code Act 1995. 144. If passed, those found to be in breach of the new amendment can face 2 to 5 years imprisonment. 145. As of June 2018, the Criminal Code Amendment, Impersonating a Commonwealth Body, Bill 2017, was before the Australian Senate with the third reading moved the 10th of May 2018. 146. Censorship and criticism, edit. Explore our developer-friendly HTML to PDF API printed using PDF Crowd HTML to PDF. Descriptions of satire's biting effect on its target include venomous, cutting, stinging. 147. Vitriol. Because satire often combines anger and humor, as well as the fact that it addresses and calls into question many controversial issues, it can be profoundly disturbing. By whom? Typical arguments, edit. Because it is essentially ironic or sarcastic, satire is often misunderstood. A typical misunderstanding is to confuse the satirist with their persona. 148. Bad taste, edit. Common uncomprehending responses to satire include revulsion, accusations of poor taste, or that it's just not funny, for instance, and the idea that the satirist actually does support the ideas, policies, or people being ridiculed. For instance, at the time of its publication, many people misunderstood Swift's purpose in a modest proposal, assuming it to be a serious recommendation of economically motivated cannibalism. Citation needed. Much later in history, in the weeks following 9/11, the American public at large found works of satire to be in bad taste and not appropriate for the social climate at the time. Some media outlets at the time, like essayist Roger Rosenblatt in an editorial for Time magazine's the 24th of September issue, would go so far as to claim that irony was dead. 149. Targeting the victim, edit. Some critics of Mark Twain see Huckleberry Finn as racist and offensive, missing the point that its author clearly intended it to be satire, racism being in fact only one of a number of Mark Twain's known concerns attacked in Huckleberry Finn. 150, 151. This same misconception was suffered by the main character of the 1960s British television comedy Satire Till Death Us Do Part. The character of Alf Garnett, played by Warren Mitchell, was created to poke fun at the kind of narrow-minded, racist, Little Englander that Garnett represented. Instead, his character became a sort of anti-hero to people who actually agreed with his views. The same situation occurred with Archie Bunker in American TV show All in the Family, a character derived directly from Garnett. Citation needed. The Australian satirical television comedy show The Chaser's War on Everything has suffered repeated attacks based on various perceived interpretations of the target of its attacks. The Make a Realistic Wish Foundation sketch, June 2009, which attacked in classical satiric fashion the heartlessness of people who are reluctant to donate to charities, was widely interpreted as an attack on the Make-A-Wish Foundation, or even the terminally ill children helped by that organization. Prime Minister of the time Kevin Rudd stated that the Chaser team should hang their heads in shame. He went on to say that I didn't see that, but it's been described to me. But having a go at kids with a terminal illness is really beyond the pale, absolutely beyond the pale. 152. Explore our developer-friendly HTML to PDF API printed using PDF Crowd HTML to PDF. Television station management suspended the show for 2 weeks and reduced the third season to 8 episodes. Romantic prejudice, edit. The romantic prejudice against satire is the belief spread by the Romantic movement that satire is something unworthy of serious attention. This prejudice has held considerable influence to this day. 153. Such prejudice extends to humor and everything that arouses laughter, which are often underestimated as frivolous and unworthy of serious study. 154. For instance, humor is generally neglected as a topic of anthropological research and teaching. 155. History of opposition toward notable satires, edit. Because satire criticizes in an ironic, essentially indirect way, it frequently escapes censorship in a way more direct criticism might not. Periodically, however, it runs into serious opposition, and people in power who perceive themselves as attacked attempt to censor it or prosecute its practitioners. In a classic example, Aristophanes was persecuted by the demagogue Clean. 1599 book ban, edit. In 1599, the Archbishop of Canterbury John Whitgift and the Bishop of London Richard Bancroft, whose offices had the function of licensing books for publication in England, issued a decree banning verse satire. The decree, now known as the Bishop's Ban of 1599, ordered the burning of certain volumes of satire by John Marston, Thomas Middleton, Joseph Hall, and others. It also required histories and plays to be specially approved by a member of the Queen's Privy Council. And it prohibited the future printing of satire in verse. 156. The motives for the ban are obscure, particularly since some of the books banned had been licensed by the same authorities less than a year earlier. Various scholars have argued that the target was obscenity, libel, or sedition. It seems likely that lingering anxiety about the Martin Marprelate controversy, in which the bishops themselves had employed satirists, played a role. Both Thomas Nash and Gabriel Harvey, two of the key figures in that controversy, suffered a complete ban on all their works. In the event, though, the ban was little enforced, even by the licensing authority itself. 21st Century Polemics, edit. In 2005, the Gillen's Post and Muhammad cartoons controversy caused global protests by offended Muslims and violent attacks with many fatalities in the Near East. It was not the first case of Muslim protests against criticism in the form of satire, but the Western world was surprised by the hostility of the reaction. Any country's flag in which a newspaper chose to publish the parodies was being burnt in a Near East country. Then embassies were attacked, killing 139 people in mainly for Explore our developer-friendly HTML to PDF API printed using PDF Crowd HTML to PDF countries. Politicians throughout Europe agreed that satire was an aspect of the freedom of speech, and therefore to be a protected means of dialogue. Iran threatened to start an international Holocaust cartoon competition, which was immediately responded to by Jews with an Israeli anti-Semitic cartoons contest. In 2006, British comedian Sacha Baron Cohen released Borat, Cultural Learnings of America for Make Benefit Glorious Nation of Kazakhstan, a mockumentary that satirized everyone, from high society to frat boys. The film was criticized by many. Although Baron Cohen is Jewish, some complained that it was anti-Semitic, and the government of Kazakhstan boycotted the film. The film itself had been a reaction to a longer quarrel between the government and the comedian. In 2008, popular South African cartoonist and satirist Jonathan Shapiro, who is published under the pen name Zapiro, came under fire for depicting then-president of the ANC Jacob Zuma in the act of undressing in preparation for the implied rape of Lady Justice, which is held down by Zuma loyalists. 157. The cartoon was drawn in response to Zuma's efforts to duck corruption charges, and the controversy was heightened by the fact that Zuma was himself acquitted of rape in May 2006. In February 2009, the South African Broadcasting Corporation, viewed by some opposition parties as the mouthpiece of the governing ANC, 158, shelved a satirical TV show created by Shapiro, 159. And in May 2009 the broadcaster pulled a documentary about political satire, featuring Shapiro, among others, for the second time, hours before scheduled broadcast. 160. On the 29th of December, 2009, Samsung sued Mike Breen and the Korea Times for $1 million, claiming criminal defamation over a satirical column published on Christmas Day, 2009. 161, 162. On the 29th of April, 2015, the UK Independence Party, UKIP, requested Kent police investigate the BBC, claiming that comments made about party leader Nigel Farage by a panellist on the comedy show Have I Got News For You might hinder his chances of success in the general election, which would take place a week later, and claimed the BBC breached the Representation of the People Act. 163. Kent police rebuffed the request to open an investigation, and the BBC released a statement. Britain has a proud tradition of satire, and everyone knows that the contributors on Have I Got News For You regularly make jokes at the expense of politicians of all parties. 163. Satirical prophecy, edit. Satire is occasionally prophetic, the jokes precede actual events. 164, 165, among the eminent examples are the 1784 presaging of modern daylight saving time, later actually proposed in 1907. While an American envoy to France, Benjamin Franklin anonymously published a letter in 1784, suggesting that Parisians economize on candles by arising earlier to use morning sunlight. 166. Explore our developer-friendly HTML to PDF API printed using PDF Crowd HTML to PDF. In the 1920s, an English cartoonist imagined a laughable thing for the time, a hotel for cars. He drew a multi-story car park. 165. The second episode of Monty Python's Flying Circus, which debuted in 1969, featured a sketch entitled The Mouse Problem, meant to satirize contemporary media exposes on homosexuality, which depicted a cultural phenomenon similar to some aspects of the modern furry fandom, which did not become widespread until the 1980s, over a decade after the sketch was first aired. The comedy film Americathon, released in 1979 and set in the United States of 1998, predicted a number of trends and events that would eventually unfold in the near future, including an American debt crisis, Chinese capitalism, the fall of the Soviet Union, a presidential sex scandal, and the popularity of reality shows. In January 2001, a satirical news article in The Onion, entitled Our Long National Nightmare of Peace and Prosperity is Finally Over, 167, had newly elected President George Bush vowing to develop new and expensive weapons technologies and to engage in at least one Gulf War-level armed conflict in the next 4 years. Furthermore, he would bring back economic stagnation by implementing substantial tax cuts, which would lead to a recession. This prophesied the Iraq War, the Bush tax cuts, and the Great Recession. In 1975, the first episode of Saturday Night Live included an ad for a triple-blade razor called the Triple Track. In 2001, Gillette introduced the Mach 3. In 2004, The Onion satirized Schick and Gillette's marketing of ever-increasingly multi-blade razors with a mock article proclaiming Gillette will now introduce a 5-blade razor. 168. In 2006, Gillette released the Gillette Fusion, a 5-blade razor. After the Iran nuclear deal in 2015, The Onion ran an article with the headline US soothes upset Netanyahu with shipment of ballistic missiles. Sure enough, reports broke the next day of the Obama administration offering military upgrades to Israel in the wake of the deal. 169. In July 2016, The Simpsons released the most recent in a string of satirical references to a potential Donald Trump presidency, although the first was made back in a 2000 episode. Other media sources, including the popular film Back to the Future Part 2, have also made similar satirical references. 170. Infinite Jest, published in 1996, described an alternate America following the presidency of Johnny Gentle, a celebrity who had not held prior political office. Gentle's signature policy was the erection of a wall between the United States and Canada for use as a hazardous waste dump. The U.S. territory behind the wall was given to Canada, and the Canadian government was forced to pay for the wall. This appeared to parody the signature campaign promise and background of Donald Trump. 171. See also, edit. Culture jamming. Explore our developer-friendly HTML to PDF API printed using PDF Crowd HTML to PDF. Freedom of the press. Onomasty commodine. Parody religion. Satiric misspellings. Sage writing. Notes, edit. 1. The Archbishop of Canterbury and the Bishop of London, the censors of the press, issued orders to the Stationers' Company on June 1 and 4, 1599, prohibiting the further printing of satires, the so-called Bishop's Ban. 88, page needed. References, edit. Citations, edit. 1. A. B. Elliott 2004. 2. Fry, Northrop, 1957. Anatomy of Criticism. Princeton, N.J., Princeton UP. p. 222. ISBN 0-691. 06004-5. 3. A. B. Claridge, Claudia, 2010, Hyperbole in English, a corpus-based study of exaggeration p.257. 4. A. B. C. Carpertian, Theodore D., 1990. Thomas Pynchon and Postmodern American Satire. In Carpertian, ed. A Hand to Turn the Time, The Menippean Satires of Thomas Pynchon. Fairleigh Dickinson Univ Press. pp. 25-7. ISBN 9780838633618. 5. Ullman, B. L. 1913. Satire and Satire. Classical Philology. 8, 2172194. Do. 10.1086/3597771. S2 SID 1611918881. Archived from the original on 5 May 2021. 6. Petronius, 1996, Satirica, translated by Kinney, Branham, University of California Press. ISBN 978-0-520-21118-6. 7. Ullman, B. L., 1913, Satire and Satire, Classical Philology, 8, 2172194, do. 10.1086/3597771. JSTOR 262450, S2 SID 1611918881. The Renaissance confusion of the two origins encouraged a satire more aggressive than that of its Roman forebears. 8. Sabary, Antonia, the 23rd of October, 2009. Less rightly said, Scandals and Readers in 16th Century. France, Stanford University Press, ISBN 978-0-8047-7354-6. 9. Forecast. Galaxy Science Fiction. June, 1968. p. 113. 10. Berberic, Ganim, 2002, The Shape of Change, Essays in Early Modern Literature and La Fontaine. In honor of David Lee Rubin, Redopi, ISBN 90-420-1449-0. 11. Improbable, 5 July, 2004, archived from the original on 4 June, 2019, retrieved 20 February. 2012. Explore our developer-friendly HTML to PDF API printed using PDF Crowd HTML to PDF. 12 A.B. Rosenberg, Harold, 1960, Community, Values, Comedy, Commentary, 30, The American Jewish Committee, 155, The oldest form of social study is comedy. If the comedian, from Aristophanes to Joyce, does not solve sociology's problem of the participant observer, he does demonstrate his objectivity by capturing behavior in its most intimate aspects yet in its widest typicality. Comic irony sets whole cultures side by side in a multiple exposure, for example, Don Quixote, Ulysses, causing valuation to spring out of the recital of facts alone, in contrast to the hidden editorializing of tongue-in-cheek ideologists. 13 Deloria, Vine, 1969, Indian Humor, Custer Died for Your Sins, An Indian Manifesto, University of Oklahoma Press, p. 146, ISBN 9780806121291. Irony and satire provide much keener insights into a group's collective psyche and values than do years of conventional research, as quoted in Ryan, Allen J. 1999, The Trickster Shift, Humor and Irony in Contemporary Native Art, UBC Press, p. 9. ISBN 9780774807043. 14 Nash, Roderick Frazier, 1970, 21. The New Humor, The Call of the Wild, 1900–1916, p. 203. Humor is one of the best indicators of popular thought. To ask what strikes a period as funny is to probe its deepest values and tastes. 15 Babcock, Barbara O. 1984, Arrange Me into Disorder, Fragments and Reflections on Ritual Clowning, in Macaloon, ed., Wright, Drama, Festival, Spectacle. Also collected as Babcock, Barbara O. Grimes, 1996, Ronald, L., ed., Readings in Ritual Studies, Prentice Hall, p. 5. ISBN 9780023472534. Harold Rosenberg has asserted that sociology needs to bring comedy into the foreground, including an awareness of the comedy of sociology with its disguises, and, like Burke and Duncan, he has argued that comedy provides the radical effect of self-knowledge which the anthropological bias excludes. 16 Coppola, Joe, 1958, An Angry Young Magazine. The Realist, 1, Good comedy is social criticism, although you might find that hard to believe if all you ever saw were some of the so-called clowns of Videoland. Comedy is dying today because criticism is on its deathbed, because telecasters, frightened by the threats and pressure of sponsors, blacklists and viewers, helped introduce conformity to this age. In such a climate, comedy cannot flourish. For comedy is, after all, a look at ourselves, not as we pretend to be when we look in the mirror of our imagination, but as we really are. Look at the comedy of any age and you will know volumes about that period and its people, which neither historian nor anthropologist can tell you. 17 Coppola, Joe, the 12th of December, 1958. Comedy on Television. Commonwealth. p. 288. 18 Willie, Andreas, 2003, The Languages of Aristophanes, Aspects of Linguistic Variation in Classical Attic Greek, Oxford University Press, pp. 1-2, ISBN 9780199262649. 19 Ehrenberg, Victor, 1962, The People of Aristophanes, A Sociology of Old Attic Comedy, p. 39. 20 ABCD Bevier, Antonio and Serai, Augusto, 2006, Il diritto di informazione I diritti della persona. pp.2656 archived the 22nd of November, 2022, at the Wayback Machine quotation. Nella storia della nostra cultura, la satira ha realizzato il bisogno popolare di ridere dissacrare il gotto politico ed economico, le cui ragioni punitive non sono certo state condizionate the critic estetic, ma dalla tolleranza o intolleranza caratterizzanti in quel momento storico la società e I suoi governanti. La reale esistenza della satira in una società deriva dal margine di tolleranza espresso dai poteri punitivi dello Stato. Explore our developer-friendly HTML to PDF API printed using PDF Crowd HTML to PDF. 21 Amy Forbes, 2010, The Satiric Decade, Satire and the Rise of Republicanism in France. 1830-1840 p.15 archived the 22nd of November, 2022, at the Wayback Machine, quotation. A critical public discourse, satire rose the daunting question of what role public opinion would play in government. Satirists criticized government activities, exposed ambiguities, and forced administrators to clarify or establish policies. Not surprisingly, heated public controversy surrounded satiric commentary, resulting in an outright ban on political satire in 1835. Government officials cracked down on their humorous public criticism that challenged state authority through both its form and content. Satire had been a political resource in France for a long time, but the anxious political context of the July monarchy had unlocked its political power. Satire also taught lessons in democracy. It fit into the July monarchy's tense political context as a voice in favor of public political debate. Satiric expression took place in the public sphere and spoke from a position of public opinion, that is, from a position of the nations expressing a political voice and making claims on its government representatives and leadership. Beyond mere entertainment, satire's humor appealed to and exercised public opinion, drawing audiences into new practices of representative government. 22 AB Knight, Charles A. 2004, Literature of Satire p.254. 23 AB Test, 1991, 9p archived the 22nd of November, 2022, at the Wayback Machine quotation. A surprising variety of societies have allowed certain persons the freedom to mock other individuals and social institutions in rituals. From the earliest times the same freedom has been claimed by and granted to social groups at certain times of the year, as can be seen in such festivals as the Saturnalia, the Feast of Fools, Carnival, and similar folk festivals in India, 19th century Newfoundland, and the ancient Mediterranean world. 24 ABCDEF Test, 1991, pp.89. 25 Cazeneuve, 1957, p.244-5 quotation. Ils constituent donc pour l'attribut un moyen de donner une satisfaction symbolique auxiliary. Tendencies antisocials. Les unis, précisément parce question ils sont un peuple apollinaire, ou la règle prédomine, avaient besoin de cette soupape de chute. Les coemches représentant CEQM que lois nom le sacre de transgression. 26 Durand, 1984, p.106 quotation. Déjà Cazeneuve, 2, Les Dieux dansant à Cibola, avec Miss or Paravant en relief, dans la Société Apollinaire des Unis, l'institution et le symbolisme saturnal des clowns. Coyemches, véritable soupape de short Dionysienne. 27 Yatsko, v. Russian folk funny stories. 28 Berberic, Ganim, 2002, The Shape of Change, Essays in Early Modern Literature and La Fontaine. In honor of David Lee Rubin, Radopi, ISBN 90-420-1449-0. 29 David Worcester, 1968, The Art of Satire 16p. Explore our developer-friendly HTML to PDF API printed using PDF Crowd HTML to PDF. 30 Muller, Rolf Arnold, 1973. Comic und Satire, in German. Zurich, Jurisverlag. p. 92. ISBN 978-3. 260-03570-8. 31 What is Horatian satire? Wise Geek. 3 May 2023. 32 AB Satire Terms. ngu.edu. 33 Sharma, Raja, 2011. Comedy in New Light Literary Studies. 34 AB Podzemny, Todd, 9 November 2011. What is Juvenalian Satire? Language and Humanities. Retrieved 16 September 2024. 35 Satire Examples and Definition. Literary Devices. 30 January 2015. 36 Definition, Types and Examples. Study.com. 2 September 2013. Retrieved 16 September 2024. 37 AB for 1990, 9p quotation. Nella storia del titro si ritrova sempre questo conflitto in cui si scontrano impegno e disimpegno, grotesco, satirico e lazza con sfoto. E spesso vince lo sfoto. Tanto amato dal poteria. Quando si dice il poteria ama la satira. 38 Eastman, Max, 1936, 4. Degrees of Biting, Enjoyment of Laughter, Transaction Publishers. pp. 23643, ISBN 9781412822626. 39 Dario, Lork, Jennifer, 1997, Dario for, Manchester University Press, p. 128. ISBN 9780719038488. In other writings for makes an important distinction between sfoto and satire. 40 ABC for, 1990, pp.23. Una caricaturace, e ovvio, risulta del tutto bonaria, del tutto epidermica, che indica, cum. Dicevo prima, soltanto la parte più esteriore del loro carattère, itic la qui messa in risolto non. Led assolutamente all'operato, l'ideologia, la morale e la dimensione culturale di questi personaggi. Ricordando che I politici provano un enorme piacere nel sentirsi presi in giro, e quasi un premio che si largis loro, nel momento stesso in cui li si sclipa essere sottoposti alla caricatura, a quella caricatura. Di fatto questa è una forma di comicità che non si più oggi a satira, ma solos photo. Pensa quanti protesti satirici si offria urba ose. Solo chia comici del bibeon volessero prendere in il modo in cui questi personaggi gestiscono il potere e lo mantengono, o si decidessero a gettare l'occhio sul via maggiorne di questa gente, la loro violenza più o meno mascherata, la loro arroganza e soprattutto la loro ipocrisia. Un tro cabaret capus dipite, il bagaglino, un tro romano che, gia. 20 anni fa, si metteva in una bella geopolitica di chiaratamente di estrema destra. Spudoratamente reazionaria, scopatamente fascista. Nel P del gruppo del bagaglino. E del suo lavoro si era sempre la caricatura feroce dell'oprio, del sindacalista, del comunista, dell'uomo di sinistra, e una caricatura bonaccia in vis, e amicante. Accattivante, degli uomini e della cultura al potere. Explore our developer-friendly HTML to PDF API printed using PDF Crowd HTML to PDF. 41 for 1990, quotation. Elirania fatta suatic, sulla caricatura dia connotati più o meno grozzi dia politici presidi. Myra, dia loro eventually difetti fissi, della loro particolare pronuncia, dia loro vesi, del loro modo di vestire, del loro modo di camminare, del frasi tipici che vanno ripetendo. Lo sfoto e una giovaffinesca molto antica, che vien di lontano, quella di Ghiosciolura con gli attributi esteriori e non toccarmi il problema di fondo di una critica seria che l'analizzi. Messa in grotesco del comportamento, la valutazione ironica della posizione, dell'ideologia, del personaggio. Page needed. 42 AB Arroyo, Jose Luis Blas, Casanova, Monica Valindo, 2006, Discurso y Sociedad, Contributions al Estudio de la Lengua en Spanish, Volume 1, Publications de la Universitat Jaume, pp. 3034. ISBN 9788480215381. 43 Mawson, Gary Saul, 1988, Boundaries of Genre, Northwestern University Press, p. 114. ISBN 9780810108110. Second, that parodies can be, as Bakhtin observes, shallow as well as deep. Problems of Dostoevsky's Poetics, 160, which is to say, directed at superficial as well as fundamental faults of the original. The distinction between shallow and deep is helpful in understanding the complex ways in which parodies are used. For instance, shallow parody is sometimes used to pay an author an indirect compliment. The opposite of damning with faint praise, this parody with faint criticism may be designed to show that no more fundamental criticism could be made. 44 Luttazzi, Danielle, 2005, Matrix, IT, archived from the original on 25 December, 2005, Dario Fu. Dissa Satiricon, la satira vera si vade dalla regione che suscita. 45 Luttazzi, Danielle, October, 2003, Fracassi, Federica, Guerrero, Jacopo, eds, Stata Casa Affari. Compiti, interview, Nazione Indiana, in Italian, lo sfoto e reazionario. Non cambia la carte in tavola, anzi, rendi simpatica la persona presa di Myra. La russa, ogai, e quel personaggio simpatico. Con la voce cavernosa, Il doppiatore di Simpson di qui Fiorello fa l'imitazione. Nessuno ricorda più il la Russa picchiatura fascista. Nessuno ricorda gli atti fascisti e reazionari di questo governo in television. 46 Karat Crema, S. Lillian, 2003, Holocaust Literature, Agassiz Lentin, Routledge, p. 100. ISBN 9780415929837. 47 Karat Lippmann, Stephen Steve, 1991, Laughter in Hell, The Use of Humor During the Holocaust, Norval. N.J., J. Aronson, p. 40. 48 Karat ABCD Clark, 1991, pp.1168 Quotation. Religion, politics, and sexuality are the primary stuff of literary satire. Among these sacred targets, matters costive and defecatory play an important part. From the earliest times, satirists have utilized scatological and bathroom humor. Aristophanes, always livid and nearly scandalous in his religious, political, and sexual references. 49 Karat Clark, John R., Motto, Anna Lydia, 1973, Satire That Blasted Art, Putnam, p. 20. ISBN 9780399110597. Explore our developer-friendly HTML to PDF API printed using PDF Crowd HTML to PDF. 50 Karat Clark, John R., Motto, Anna Lydia, 1980, Many Peons and Their Satire, Concerning Monstrous Limbed Old Dogs and Hippocentaurs, Scholia Satirica, 6, 3/4 45, Chappell's book Soviet Satire of the 20s, classifying the very topics his satirists satirized: housing, food and fuel supplies, poverty, inflation, hooliganism, public services, religion, stereotypes of nationals, the Englishman, German, and C. Yet the truth of the matter is that no satirist worth his salt, Petronius, Chaucer, Rabelais, Swift, and Scoff, Grass, ever avoids man's habits and living standards, or scants those delicate desiderata: religion, politics, and sex. 51 Karat Ferdi Addis, 2012, Quilly il Tiotayon the Killer. 20 p. 52 Karat A.B. Hogarth, 2009, ch2 The Topics of Satire, Politics 33 p. Archived the 22nd of November, 2022, at the Wayback Machine. The most pressing of the problems that face us when we close the book or leave the theater are ultimately political ones, and so politics is the preeminent topic of satire. To some degree public affairs vex every man, if he pays taxes, does military service or even objects to the way his neighbor is behaving. There is no escape from politics where more than a dozen people are living together. There is an essential connection between satire and politics in the widest sense. Satire is not only the commonest form of political literature, but, insofar as it tries to influence public behaviors, it is the most political part of all literature. 53 Karat Hogarth, 2009, 39 p. 54 Karat A.B.C. Wilson, 2002, pp. 14-5, 20 and notes 25, p. 308, 32, p. 309. 55 Karat A.B. Arnsporth, Kelly, 1994, Bungo's The Enemy, Wyndham Lewis and the Uses of Disgust. In Matt Wood, ISSN 0314-5913, issue 48.3, pp.2129. as quoted in Wilson, 2002. The turd is the ultimate dead object. 56 Lies and Risottat des Research. Presentation Index Hutium Sickle N.32, 2000, Special on Raya. 10p, as quoted in Jean-Michel Récolt, 2005, Voyages Badins, Burlesques et Parodiques du XVIII. Sickle, 7p, quotation, Le corps grotesque dans ses modalités classiques la scatologie notamment. 57 Klein, Cecilia F. 1993, Tioquitlatl, Divine Excrement, The Significance of Holy Shit in Ancient Mexico, in Art Journal, CAA, Volume 52, N.3, Fall 1993, pp.27. 58 Duprat, Annie, 1982, La dégradation de l'image royale dans la caricature révolutionnaire p.178. Quotation. Le corps grotesque est une réalité populaire détournée au profit d'une représentation du corps but politique, plaquage du corps scatologique sur le corps de ce question il convient de dénoncer. Dénonciation scatologique projetée sur le corps aristocratique pour lui signifier sa dégénérescence. 59 Parsons, Elsie Clues, Beals, Ralph L. October-December 1934. The Sacred Clowns of the Pueblo and Mayayaqui Indians. American Anthropologist. 36, 4491514. Do. 10.1525/1934.36.4.0200020. JSTOR 661824. Explore our developer-friendly HTML to PDF API printed using PDF Crowd HTML to PDF. 60 Hires, M. Conrad, 1996. The Spirituality of Comedy, Comic Heroism in a Tragic World. Transaction Publishers. p. 145. ISBN 1-56000-218-2. 61 Donald Alexander Mackenzie, 1923, Myths of Pre-Columbian America p.229. 62 Patrick Marnham, 2000, Dreaming with His Eyes Open, A Life of Diego Rivera p.297. 63 Hilda Ellis Davidson, 1993, Boundaries and Thresholds 85p quotation. It is this fear of what the dead in their uncontrollable power might cause which has brought forth apotropaic rites, protective rites against the dead. One of these popular rites was the funeral rite of sin-eating, performed by a sin-eater, a man or woman. Through accepting the food and drink provided, he took upon himself the sins of the departed. 64 Bloom, Edward Allen, Bloom, Lillian D. 1979, Satire's Persuasive Voice, Cornell University Press. ISBN 9780801408397. Page needed. 65 Nickel, Alardis, 1951, British Drama, An Historical Survey from the Beginnings to the Present Time. p. 179. 66 Hogarth, 2009, p.189. 67 Pollard, Arthur, 1970, 4. Tones, Satire, p. 66. 68 Clarke, Arthur Melville, 1946, The Art of Satire and the Satiric Spectrum, Studies in Literary Modes. p. 32. 69 A.B. Zekarvat, Massey, 2020. Reflexive Humor and Satire, a critical review. European Journal of Humor Research. 7, 41251362, 10.7592/EJHR 2019.7.4.Zekarvat. 70 Vuong, Quan Hoang, 2022. The Kingfisher Story Collection. Idle. ISBN 979-8353946595. 71 Lifetime, M. 1973, Ancient Egyptian Literature, Volume I, pp. 18493. 72 Helk, W. 1970, Die Lehre des XTJJ, wie Esbeden. 73 Gardner, Alan H., 1911, Egyptian Hieratic Texts, I, Literary Texts of the New Kingdom, Volume I, Leipzig. 74 A. B. Sutton, D.F., 1993, Ancient Comedy, The War of the Generations, New York, p. 56. 75 Bates, Alfred, ed. 1906, Political and Social Satires of Aristophanes, The Drama, Its History. Literature and Influence on Civilization, Volume 2, London, Historical Publishing, pp. 55-59. 76 Atkinson, J. 1992, Curbing the Comedians, Clean vs. Aristophanes and Syracuseus Decree. The Classical Quarterly, New, 42, 156-64, do. 10.100098388000425880, JSTOR 639144. S2 SID 1709364669. 77 Anderson, John Louis, Aristophanes, The Michael Moore of His Day, archived from the original on the 19th of October, 2006. 78 A. B. Wilson 2002, p. 17. 79 Leggeri, Antonio, 2021, Magistrates, Doctors, and Monks, Satire in the Chinese Jessbook Xiaolin. Guangji, The Rhetoric of Topics and Forms, pp. 369-380, do. 10.15/9783110642032-029. ISBN 9783110642032, S2 SID 234214074. 80 Cudden, 1998, Satire, Dictionary of Literary Terms, Oxford. 81 Bosworth 1976, p. 32. 82 Marsolf, Ulrich, van Leeuwen, Richard, Wassouf, Hassan, 2004. The Arabian Nights Encyclopedia. ABCCLIO. pp. 97-8. ISBN 1-57607-204-5. 83 Bosworth 1976, pp. 77-8. 84 Bosworth 1976, p. 70. Explore our developer-friendly HTML to PDF API printed using PDF Crowd HTML to PDF. 85 Weber, Edwin J., January 1958. Comedy as Satire in Hispano-Arabic Spain. Hispanic Review. 26. 1. University of Pennsylvania Press, 111. Do. 10.2307/4705661. JSTOR 470561. 86 Andre de Vries, Flanders, A Cultural History, Oxford University Press, New York, 2007, p. 100-101. 87 Hall 1969, Hall's Virgidamii was a new departure in that the true Juvenalian mode of satire was being attempted for the first time, and successfully, in English. 88 Davenport 1969. 89 Palmery, Frank, 2003. Satire, History, Novel, Narrative Forms, 1665 1815. University of Delaware Press. pp. 47-49. ISBN 978-1-61149-232-3. 90 Hagia Vyangyakavita in Hindi Funny Poetry. Suvikarindi.com. November 4, 2016. Retrieved 19 April, 2019. 91 Pritam, Sarojani. 51 Shrestvi Raknayan. Diamond Pocket Books. 92 Premkand, Munshi, Gopal, Madan. My Life and Times. Raleigh Books. 93 Premkand, Munshi. Premkand Kia Markahanyan. 94 Shankaji, the 24th of February 2019. The Modi Song. Rough Cut Productions. Mazdorkaisen Shakti. Sangathan. Archived from the original on the 11th of December 2021. Retrieved the 16th of April 2019. 95 Kunal Kamra, The Accidental Revolutionary. Live Mint. The 17th of March 2018. Retrieved the 16th of April 2019. 96 Gujarat Varsity cancels show by anti-national comedian Kunal Kamra after alumni complaint. The Wire. Retrieved the 16th of April 2019. 97 Tujai, Ravindranath. Urdu Hindi Hashaya Vyang. Rajkamal Prakashan. 98 Sekrai, Abhinandan, the 17th of April 2019. Interview with Kunal Kamra. News Laundry. Retrieved the 19th of April 2019. 99 Gujarati, Ashok. Vyang Rang. Prabhat Prakashan. 100 Jaimini, Arun, 2013. Hagia Vyanki Shikar Kavitae. RA with Macron DHA with Macron KRSHNA. ISBN 978-8183615686. 101 The Broad View Anthology of British Literature, The Restoration and the 18th Century, Volume 3. p. 435. 102 Wayne Brott, Howard D. 2007, 18th Century Satire, Essays on Text and Context from Dryden to Peter, p. 136. 103 Dryden, John, Lynch, Jack, ed., Discourse, Rutgers. 104 Biography of Alexander Pope Synopsis. Biography.com. Archived from the original on the 18th of December, 2015. Retrieved the 10th of December, 2015. 105 Jonathan J. Sweck, 2011. Satire in 18th Century British Society, Alexander Pope's The Rape of the Lock and Jonathan Swift's A Modest Proposal. Student Pulse. 3, 6. 106 Charles Press, 1981. The Political Cartoon. Fairleigh Dickinson University Press. p. 34. ISBN 9780838619018. 107 AB Satire, Sures and Statesman, Why James Gilray Was King of the Cartoon. The Guardian. June 18, 2015. 108 AB Brio, Sarah, 2018. The Shocking Truth, Science, Religion, and Ancient Egypt in Early 19th Century Fiction. 19th Century Contexts. 40, 43313444. Do. 10.1080/089054995.2018.1484608. S2 SID 1948274445 via Taylor and Francis Online. 109 Dobson, Eleanor, 2017. Gods and Ghostlight, Ancient Egypt, Electricity, and X-rays. Victorian. Literature and Culture. 45, 121 do. 10.1017/S1060150316000462. S2 SID 1650641668. Explore our developer-friendly HTML to PDF API printed using PDF Crowd HTML to PDF. 110 David King and Kathy Porter Blood and Laughter, Caricatures from the 1905 Revolution Jonathan Cape. 1983 31 p. 111 Chaplin, 1964, My Autobiography, p. 392, quotation. Had I known of the actual horrors of the German concentration camps, I could not have made The Great Dictator, I could not have made fun of the homicidal insanity of the Nazis. 112 Chapel, Richard L. Henry, Peter, 1976. Modern Soviet Satire. The Slavic and East European Journal. 20, 318 do. 10.2307/306330. ISSN 0037-6752. JSTOR 306330. 113 Stein, Nathaniel, the 1st of July 2013. Funny Pages, How the National Lampoon Made American Humor. The Daily Beast. Retrieved the 22nd of July 2020. 114 Sullivan, James, 2010, 7 Dirty Words, The Life and Crimes of George Carlin 94 p. 115 George Carlin, 2002, Introduction archived 4 March, 2016, at the Wayback Machine to Murder at the Conspiracy Convention. 116 David Frost's Q&A on How to Be a Satirist archived 15 March, 2017, at the Wayback Machine. The Guardian, London. Retrieved 2 February, 2015. 117 What is Catch-22? And Why Does the Book Matter? BBC. The 12th of March, 2002. 118 Dalton, Stephen, the 21st of August, 2017. Critic's Notebook, Jerry Lewis, a comic genius by turns sweet and bitter. The Hollywood Reporter. 119 The Roots of Monty Python. BFI Screenonline. Retrieved 26 November, 2023. 120 The 100 Best British Films. Empire. Retrieved the 26th of September, 2023. 121 Freudenberg, Kirk, 2001. Satires of Rome, Threatening Poses from Lucilius to Juvenal. Cambridge. Cambridge University Press, p. 299. ISBN 0-521-00621-X. 122 Van Norris, 2014. British Television Animation 1997-2010, Drawing Comic Tradition. p. 153. Palgrave Macmillan. 123 James Gilray. Lambiek.net. Archived from the original on 25 November 2016. 124 Embrick DG, Talmaj J. Wright TJ, Lukács, 2012. Social Exclusion, Power, and Video Game. Play, New Research in Digital Media and Technology, Lexington Books, p. 19. ISBN 9780739138625. Quote, in-game television programs and advertisements, radio stations, and billboards provide a running satirical commentary on the state of civilization in general, and on the roles of males in particular. 125 GTA 5, a great British export. The Telegraph. The 29th of September, 2015. Archived from the original. On the 11th of January, 2022. 126 Canavan G. Robinson K.S., 2014. Green Planets, Ecology and Science Fiction, Wesleyan University Press. p. 278, ISBN 9780819574282. 127 A. B. Byron G. Townshend D. 2013. The Gothic World. Routledge. p. 456. ISBN 9781135053062. Quote, p. resent themselves as deliberately controversial, incorporating hyperviolent gameplay, dark social satire and conspicuous political incorrectness. 128 Yi, Sherry, 2020. Is This a Joke? The Delivery of Serious Content Through Satirical Digital Games. Acta Ludologica. 1/1830 via Seal. 129 Lavender 3, Isia, 2017. Disorienting Planets, Racial Representations of Asia in Science Fiction. Univ. Press of Mississippi, p. 208, ISBN 9781496811554. Explore our developer-friendly HTML to PDF API printed using PDF Crowd HTML to PDF. 130 Diumert, Anna, 2014. Sociolinguistics and Mobile Communication. Edinburgh University Press. p. 181. ISBN 9780748655779. Retrieved 12 June, 2017. 131 Lund, Awid, 2020. Wikipedia, Work, and Capitalism. Springer, Dynamics of Virtual Work. ISBN 9783319506890, p. 48. 132 K, Sharon M. 2010. The Onion and Philosophy, Fake News Story True, alleges indignant area. Professor. Open Court Publishing. p. 243. ISBN 9780812696875. Quote, people might be justified in concluding that The Onion is a legitimate small-town paper when they see headlines like "Local Woman Devotes Life to Doing God's Busy Work, the 10th of April, 2008, God Help Him, Area Man Loves That Crazy Bitch. 11/22/08, or Area Woman Wouldn't Mind Feeding Your Cats, the 12th of June, 2008. Even if they read the full story, they may never figure out it is a satire. Maybe if they scroll to the bottom of the web page and notice the disclaimer, The Onion is not intended for readers under 18 years of age, they would realize that this is not your average news source. Maybe not, especially if they think that there might be such a thing as adult news. 133 Dixon, E.J. The 16th of October, 2020. What is the Babylon Bee? Trump retweeted the satirical website. Rolling Stone. Retrieved the 20th of May, 2021. 134 Liz Raftery, who did the best Hillary Clinton impression on SNL TV Guide, the 30th of April, 2015. Video, archived the 18th of October, 2017, at the Wayback Machine, retrieved the 15th of August, 2015. 135 You Betcha, Tina Fey wins Emmy as Sarah Palin on SNL. Los Angeles Times. The 13th of September, 2009, archived from the original on the 9th of July, 2012. Retrieved the 13th of September, 2009. 136 Meet Howard X, the dictator doppelganger from Hong Kong. Time. Amy Gunia. The 29th of March, 2019. 137 Tiny Funny Time. Time.com. The 29th of September, 1947. Archived from the original on the 23rd of October, 2007. Retrieved the 29th of August, 2009. 138 An interview with The Onion, David Shankbone, Wiki News, the 25th of November, 2007. 139 Llewellyn, Chilisi, Buenos, Jeremy W. January, 2021. Excuse me, Sir, A Critical Race Theory. Hair, Chronicle. Gender, Work and Organization. 28, S1152, 10.1111/.12522. ISSN 0968. 6673. S2 SID 2253688135. 140 Griffin, Dustin H. 1994, Satire, A Critical Reintroduction p.136. 141 Geisler, Michael E. 2005, National Symbols, Fractured Identities, Contesting the National Narrative. 73 p. 142 ABCD Pezzola, Vincenzo, 2009, La Diffamazione, Responsabilità Penale e Civile pp.5667. Quotation. Il diritto di satira trova il suo fondamento negli art. 21 e 33 della Costituzione Tutulano. Rispettivamente, la libertà di manifestazione del pensiero e quella di elaborazione artistica e scientifica. La satira, in quanto apparent nell'ambito di ICIO non è strettamente correlato ad esigenze informative, dal che deriva che I suoi limiti di lievitazione ben più ampi di quelli propri del diritto di cronaca. 143 The Juice on Twitter. Twitter. Retrieved 10 June, 2018. 144 Criminal Code Amendment, Impersonating a Commonwealth Body, Bill 2017. Retrieved 10 June, 2018. 145 Info Criminal Code Amendment, Impersonating a Commonwealth Body, Bill 2017. parlinfo.af.gov.or. Retrieved 10 June, 2018. Explore our developer-friendly HTML to PDF API printed using PDF Crowd HTML to PDF. 146 Criminal Code Amendment, Impersonating a Commonwealth Body, Bill 2017. Retrieved 10 June, 2018. 147 Kinservik, Matthew J. 2002, Disciplining Satire, The Censorship of Satiric Comedy on the 18th, 21p. 148 Test, 1991, 10p. 149 Jones, William R. 2009. People have to watch what they say, what Horace, Juvenal, and 9/11 can tell us about satire and history. Helios. 36, 127-28. Bibcode, 2009 Helio 36, 27W. Do. 10.1353/hell.0.0017. ISSN 1935-0228. S2 SID 1620899939. 150 Leonard, James S., Tenney, Thomas O., Davis, Thagius M., December 1992. Satire or Evasion? Black Perspectives on Huckleberry Finn. Duke University Press. p. 224. ISBN 978-0-8223-1174-4. 151 Fish In, Shelley Fisher, 1997, Lighting Out for the Territory, Reflections on Mark Twain and American Culture, New York, Oxford University Press. 152 Hang Your Heads Rug Tells Chaser Boys. Australian Broadcasting Corporation. 4 June, 2009. Retrieved 5 June, 2009. 153 Sutherland, James, 1958, English Satire. 154 Martin, Rodder, 2007, The Psychology of Humor, An Integrative Approach, Elsevier, pp. 27-8. ISBN 9780080465999. 155 Apt, Maheda L., 1985, Introduction, Humor and Laughter, An Anthropological Approach, Cornell University Press, p. 23, ISBN 9780801493072. The general neglect of humor as a topic of anthropological research is reflected in teaching practice. Most introductory textbooks do not even list humor as a significant characteristic of cultural systems, together with kinship, social roles, behavioral patterns, religion, language, economic transactions, political institutions, values, and material culture. 156 Arbor, Edward, ed. 1875-94, a transcript of the Registers of the Company of Stationers of London. 1554 1640, Volume 3, London, p. 677. 157 Zuma claims R7M over Zapiro cartoon. Mail and Guardian. ZA. The 18th of December, 2008. 158 How lone cameraman dented sub's credibility. Mail and Guardian. ZA. Archived from the original on the 12th of September, 2005. 159 Z News, Zapiro's Puppet Show. Dispatch. ZA. Archived from the original on the 26th of March, 2012. 160 Subpools Zapiro Dochi, again. Mail and Guardian. ZA. The 26th of September, 2009. 161 Samsung sues satirist, claiming criminal defamation, over satirical column poking fun at Samsung. TechDirt. The 11th of May, 2010. Retrieved the 9th of June, 2012. 162 Gliana, John M. The 10th of May, 2010. Samsung doesn't find satirical spoof amusing. Los Angeles Times. Archived from the original on the 19th of October, 2017. 163 AB UKIP asks police to investigate the BBC over Have I Got News For You, archived the 26th of August. 2015, at the Wayback Machine. BBC. Retrieved the 18th of June, 2015. 164 Krasner, Paul, the 26th of August, 2003. Terminal Velocity Television is here, New York Press, 1635. 165 AB Lutazzi, Danielle, 2007, Lepides Postribulari, in Italian, Feltrinelli, p. 275. 166 Franklin, Benjamin, the 26th of April, 1784. Auxiliary Auteurs du Journal. Journal de Paris, in French, 117. Wrote anonymously. Its first publication was in the journal's economy section. An economical project, revised English version ed., retrieved the 26th of May, 2007, has a title that is not Franklin's, c. Aldridge, O. 1956. Franklin's Essay on Daylight Saving. American Literature. 28, 123-29. Do. 10.2307/2922719. JSTA 2922719. Explore our developer-friendly HTML to PDF API printed using PDF Crowd HTML to PDF. 167 Bush, our long national nightmare of peace and prosperity is finally over. The Onion. Retrieved the 9th of June, 2012. 168 Fuck Everything, We're Doing 5 Blades. The Onion. The 18th of February, 2004. Archived from the original on the 16th of November, 2017. Retrieved the 30th of October, 2020. 169 Where Satire Meets Truth, Did the Onion Just Predict a Real Israeli Headline? Haaretz. Retrieved the 1st of January, 2016. 170 Back to the Future, How the Simpsons and Others Predicted President Trump. The Guardian. Retrieved 5 February 2017. 171 Donald Trump wants to build a wall on the border with Mexico. Can he do it? PBS. Retrieved 3 August 2020. Sources, edit. Johnson, Ben, Myler, Robert S. 2000. Every Man in His Humor, quarto version. Manchester University Press. ISBN 9780719015656. Bibliography, edit. Bosworth, Clifford Edmund, 1976, The Medieval Islamic Underworld, the Banu Sassanin. Arabic Society and Literature, Brill Publishers, ISBN 90-04-043992-6. Branham, R. Bracht, Kinney, Daniel, 1997. Introduction. Satirica. By Petronius. University of California Press. ISBN 9780520211186. Clark, John R. 1991, The Modern Satiric Grotesque and Its Traditions, Lexington, U of Kentucky P. ISBN 9780813130323. Coram, Robert T. 2002, The Rhetoric of Disgust and Contempt in Boileau, in Berberic, Anne. Lynn, Ganim, Russell, eds. The Shape of Change, Essays in Early Modern Literature and La Fontaine in honor of David Lee Rubin, Redopi, ISBN 9042014490. Davenport, A. ed. 1969, The Poems, Liverpool University Press. Eliot, Robert C., 2004, The Nature of Satire, Encyclopaedia Britannica. For Dario, 1990, Satira e Sfoto, in Allegri, Luigi, ed. Dialogo provocatorio sul comico, il tragico, la follia e la ragione, interview, in Italian, pp. 2, 9. For Dario, 1993, Provocative Dialogue on the Comic, the Tragic, Folly and Reason, London. Methuen Publishing, Tronsor. Fry, Northrop, 1957, Anatomy of Criticism, in particular the discussion of the four myths. Hall, Joseph. Virgidum IE. In Davenport, 1969. Hogarth, Matthew, Connery, Brian, 2009, 1969, Satire, Origins and Principles, Transaction. Publishers, ISBN 9781412833646. Pietrasic, Vanessa, 2011, La Satire en jeu. Critique et scepticisme en Allemagne la findu. Xviiisicle, in French, Tussin, Doulero éditeur, Charente. Test, George Austin, 1991, Eliot's Bind, or, What is Satire, Anyway? In Satire, Spirit and Art. University of South Florida Press, ISBN 9780813010878. Explore our developer-friendly HTML to PDF API printed using PDF Crowd HTML to PDF. Wilson, R. Rawdon, 2002, The Hydra's Tale, Imagining Disgust, University of Alberta. ISBN 9780888643681. Massimo Colella, Seicento Satirico, Il Viaggio di Antonio Abati, con edizione critica in Appendis, in La Parola del Testo, XXVI, 1-2, 2022, pp. 77-100. Further reading, edit. Bloom, Edward A., 1972, Sacramentum Militiae, The Dynamics of Religious Satire, Studies in the Literary Imagination, 5, 11942. Bronowski, Jacob, Mazurish, Bruce, 1993, 1960, The Western Intellectual Tradition from Leonardo to Hegel, Barnes and Noble, p. 252. Connery, Brian O., The Rising Satire, A Bibliography, Oakland University. Dooley, David Joseph, 1972, Contemporary Satire, Holt, Reinhardt and Winston of Canada. ISBN 9780039233853. Feinberg, Leonard, The Satirist. Lee, J. Num, 1971, Scatology in Continental Satirical Writings from Aristophanes to Rabelais. And English Scatological Writings from Skelton to Pope, 123 Malditamidra. Swift and Scatological Satire, Albuquerque, U of New Mexico pp. 722, 2353. Theories / Critical Approaches to Satire as a Genre, edit. Connery, Brian, Coombe, Kirk, eds. 1995. The Rising Satire, Essays in Literary Criticism. New York, St. Martin's Press. p. 212. ISBN 0-312-12302-7. Drazer, Emil, 1994, Techniques of Satire, The Case of Saul Tykofschtrin, Berlin, New York. Mutanda Gruiter, ISBN 3-11-012624-9. Hammer, Stephanie, Satirizing the Satirist. Haye, Gilbert, Satire. Cannon, Alvin, The Cankered Muse. Kinderman, Udo, 1978, Satire. Die Theorie der Satire im Mittellatinischen, Vorstudie zu einer Gattungsgeschichte, in German, Nürnberg. 2005. In Greek. The Plot of Satire, edit. Seidel, Michael, Satiric Inheritance. Zdro, Rad, 2008, Arntopia, Revolution of the Ants. External links, edit. Garnett, Richard, 1911. Satire. In Chisholm, Hugh, ed. Encyclopaedia Britannica. Volume 24. 11th ed. Cambridge University Press. pp. 228229. Explore our developer-friendly HTML to PDF API printed using PDF Crowd HTML to PDF. Harry Furniss Parliamentary Satire Book 1890s UK Parliament Living Heritage. Categories: Satire, Film Genres, Humanities, Humour, Literary Genres, Rhetoric. Television Genres, Theatrical Genres. Explore our developer-friendly HTML to PDF API printed using PDF Crowd HTML to PDF.